Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetti.
Our headlines today. Millions of people in the southeast and east of England are preparing for tougher COVID restrictions from midnight amid a rising number of cases.
Worried about staff, about stock and about saving the business as thousands more hospitality firms prepare to close under Tier 3 restrictions. I'll speak to the bosses preparing for a bleak winter.
Northern Ireland announces a new 6-week lockdown beginning on Boxing Day, including supermarkets being told to close at 8 p.m. for the first few days.
After an evening phone call, Downing Street warns that post-Brexit trade talks are in a serious situation.
Good morning. It was a great night for Marcus Rashford on the field. He scored twice to lift Manchester United up to 6th in the Premier League. Off it, he was recognised by FIFA for his work to try and end child food poverty in the UK.
Catching up on one of the year's most inspiring stories, 6-year-old Tony Hudgell has raised more than £1.5 million for charity. We'll take a look at how the money will make a difference.
Good morning. Rain is back today, heavy for some of us, flooding likely in South Wales, windy, mild. I've got your Friday forecast and prospects for a brighter weekend.
Good morning. It's Friday, the 18th of December. Our top story today. Tens of millions of people all across the UK are braced for tougher COVID restrictions amid growing concern about rising coronavirus infections.
From tomorrow, swathes of eastern and southern England will move into Tier 3 measures. Northern Ireland has announced it will join Wales by starting a new lockdown after Christmas Day, meaning non-essential shops will close, along with pubs, restaurants and hairdressers. Aruna Iyengar has more.
Around the UK, restrictions are tightening. From Saturday in England, more than 2/3 of the country will be in Tier 3, with a number of areas, including Bedfordshire and Buckinghamshire, moving to the toughest level. But there's some respite. Bristol and North Somerset will move from Tier 3 to Tier 2, and Herefordshire goes from Tier 2 to 1. In Clevedon in North Somerset, dropping down to Tier 2 is a cause for celebration.
Yes. Hooray! I can go out on my 70th birthday on Monday and celebrate in a pub locally.
I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, I probably think it's a mistake.
Because the surrounding areas are still increasing. Bristol has gone down, but I think we've just got to sort of live with it and try and get over it.
Hastings in East Sussex will now move into Tier 3.
It is a shame to see such a vibrant place as Hastings Old Town seem to grind to a halt. And it's such a shame that all the talented people that work and operate here are not doing that.
These restrictions come into force just days before the Christmas relaxation. Wales has already announced a post-Christmas lockdown. The First Minister warns other nations could follow.
My prediction would be that in other parts of the UK, as current restrictions are lessened, they too will find themselves with numbers escalating and more action needing to be taken.
And last night in Northern Ireland, a new 6-week lockdown from Boxing Day was announced. Non-essential shops will be closed and all sporting events banned.
It's very clear that we needed an urgent intervention. I think this is the right decision by the Executive, albeit I accept it'll be challenging for many, many people. We tried to get a balance in all of these things, but it's clear that we needed a longer and deeper intervention.
With pressure on the NHS mounting, difficult days lie ahead. Aruna Iyengar, BBC News.
Let's talk to our correspondent Frankie McCamley, who's in Windsor in Berkshire, which is one of the counties heading into Tier 3. Frankie, morning to you. So, new restrictions for lots of people there.
Yes, Naga, good morning. These new restrictions are going to mean that just over 2/3 of England are going to be facing Tier 3 restrictions from the weekend. Many of the areas moving into Tier 3 from just past midnight tonight are, like here, Windsor in Berkshire, on the commuter belt surrounding London, which went into Tier 3 just a few days ago on Wednesday. Now, the government says these tightening of restrictions do need to happen to help prevent the NHS from being overwhelmed, especially as we move into January, which is usually one of the busiest months for hospitals. Now, restaurants, bars, pubs here are going to feel the effects. Many will have to close, apart from those who can open for takeaways in what's usually the busiest period for them this year. Also, a lot of the area around here relies heavily on tourism, like Windsor Castle just next to us. With travel restrictions coming into place, that's not good news. But just a reminder, this isn't full lockdown. In Tier 3, you can still meet in groups of up to 6 in outdoor public spaces, and the shops, the gyms and the hairdressers will remain open.
Good to end on a positive note, Frankie. Thanks very much, Frankie McCamley, there for us.
Boris Johnson says talks to reach a post-Brexit trade agreement are in a serious situation, with a no-deal scenario now very likely, unless the EU position changes substantially.
The Prime Minister's comments came following a call with the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen last night. Here's more from our political correspondent Chris Mason.
In a fortnight's time, on New Year's Day, the UK's relationship with the European Union will have changed and changed substantially. And yet, 2 weeks out, we don't know if that new arrangement will be with an overarching trade deal or without one. What we do know is the differences between the two sides, which stand in the way of a deal, are significant. Last night, there was another phone call between the Prime Minister and Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission. And guess what? They agreed their teams would carry on talking. In a statement after the call, Boris Johnson said the negotiations were now in a serious situation. Time was very short, and it now looked very likely that agreement would not be reached unless the EU position changed substantially. For those wanting a deal, the EU's comments contained a splash of optimism. Ursula von der Leyen said, "We welcome substantial progress on many issues. However, big differences remain to be bridged, in particular on fisheries. Bridging them will be very challenging." And yes, both sides acknowledge how much fish can be caught in each other's waters isn't yet sorted out. And the issue of state aid is a problem too. The support either side can give to a domestic industry without breaching the terms of any agreement. The UK doesn't like a suggestion from the EU that support that comes from Brussels rather than a member state should be exempt from any limits on state aid. Both sides do want to do a deal if they can find one that is mutually acceptable. But that is no guarantee one will happen. Chris Mason, BBC News.
A second coronavirus vaccine is on the verge of approval in the United States. The head of the Food and Drugs Administration has said he'll move quickly to authorise the Moderna vaccine, allowing the company to begin shipping millions of doses. The US, which has just begun rolling out the Pfizer-BioNTech jab, has recorded more coronavirus deaths than any other country.
England's second largest police force has been placed in special measures after an investigation found that it had failed to record more than 80,000 crimes in the space of a year. Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary said it was deeply troubled at how Greater Manchester Police had closed cases without a proper investigation. It also found that a higher proportion of violent crime wasn't recorded, including domestic abuse.
Royal Mail says people in some parts of the UK may be receiving their post later than expected as it deals with an unprecedented volume of parcels thanks to the rise in online shopping. Internet orders for the first 2 weeks of December jumped by more than 50% compared to last year. That's according to the online retail trade body, the IMRG. The union representing postal workers said its members are doing their best to cope with both increased demand and the complications of working within COVID safety rules.
Can you imagine going to work? And obviously, we love our posties and, you know, the work they're doing generally, and this year all the more. But can you imagine going to work into that sorting office and seeing that pile of parcels? You would just, you'd look at it, wouldn't you, and just go, where do I begin? Oh, well, I suppose you begin at the top.
Well, and if you need evidence of the crunch they're facing, any post office at the moment, the queues outside, huge. The workload they're trying to deal with is enormous.
And also, of course, they're socially distanced, aren't there? So there are fewer people in the places so to do the work, and they're different shifts as well. Maybe you've had experience of this. Maybe you are experiencing this right now. get in touch with us if you can. Or even if you just want to say, mention your postie, who's doing a great job. Let us know. Get in touch the usual ways, Twitter, email us. It'd be good to hear from you.
Time now is 10 minutes past 6. That means it's time for us to have a look at the weather. Nick's got the details for us this morning. How are you, Nick?
Oh, very well, thank you. Good morning to you both. Good morning to you. The Postie's out in the rain again today after yesterday's sunshine. The wet weather is back. The winds will be picking up as well. Southwest England and parts of Wales seeing the higher rain totals, the greater chance of disruption, but particularly in South Wales, where the Met Office has an amber warning in force, flooding likely up to 100 millimetres of rain falling in some spots before the day is done. From this area of low pressure, bringing these weather fronts our way with the heavy rain and the isobars tightening. That means the wind picking up as well. Cloudy, damp start out there. There will be a bit of brightness this morning in Scotland and northern England. That's not going to last because the rain soon sweeps into all but East Anglia and southeast England, and the brighter colours showing up here indicating where there will be some of that heavy rain and strong winds too. Some gusts up to around 60 miles an hour across parts of southwest England. Very windy with the rain in the west, particularly through Wales and western parts of England, again with the higher rain totals here. The rain pushing in across Scotland too, a few brighter breaks still around the Moray Firth at times, and Northern Ireland after the rain brightening up this afternoon with sunny spells and the odd shower. Very mild start to the day, very mild afternoon. But then again, it will be very windy, but temperatures may be up to around 15 degrees Celsius in one or two spots. The rain will drag its heels this evening and tonight across Wales and again western parts of England. This is allowing those totals to mount before gradually it moves further east overnight, reaching eastern parts of England as we start the day tomorrow. Behind it, clearer skies, but a few heavy showers on what will be a mild and blustery night. And low pressure still with us over the weekend. You can see it out here to the west. The weather fronts are spokes around that wheel of low pressure, bringing in bands of showers our way. But as I hinted at the start of the programme, around those showers there will be some brighter skies. There will be some sunshine occasionally this weekend. And much more about what we can expect for the weekend weather as we go through the rest of the morning. But that's it for now.
Thanks, Nick. We'll speak to you later.
12 minutes past 6 Friday morning. Let's have a look at the papers you'll be opening this morning. Many papers lead on the extension of Tier 3 COVID restrictions to large parts of southern England. Daily Mirror carries the headline, Tears Before Bedlam, a reference to warnings from some health experts that mixing during the festive season could lead to a spike in new cases.
The Daily Telegraph reports on the latest Brexit talks. The paper says the Prime Minister has warned that a deal is drifting away, but could still be done this weekend if Brussels gives ground on fishing rights and state subsidies.
Let's have a look at The Guardian, reporting that many pupils will have a delayed return to the classroom in the new year, something we'll be looking at quite closely this morning. Schools Minister Nick Gibb will be with us. Most secondary school students in England have been told to work from home for the first week of next term. It's to allow more time for state schools to prepare for a rollout of mass COVID testing.
And The Sun features a picture of Sir Paul McCartney on its front page and the headline, Get Back. I see what it's done. The paper says the 78-year-old former Beatle who wrote and sang on the band's hit Get Back has vowed to have the COVID jab as soon as he is allowed. So, do you want to go Christmas or do you want to go boring?
What?
Christmas or boring?
Boring, please.
There's a surprise. So, a calendar. Are you a fan of a calendar?
Oh, yes. Was it
So
an advent calendar?
No, it's not an advent calendar. It's a calendar for next year. Many people will be planning for the 1st of January. This is the Dull Men's Club calendar.
What makes it so dull?
So it has various pictures and there's a telegraph pole enthusiast, a washing machine restorer and a security envelope collector. And there's a man who spends 10 hours a day doing jigsaws and a student who photographs wet floor signs. These are all featured in this calendar. This is a gentleman, this is James here, who's fascinated by the patterns on the insides of envelopes, the graphic patterns. And so all of these have featured in the Dull Men's Club's calendar. And
so
also,
is it a calendar of
dull days?
People's dull things that they do?
Yes.
Do you know one person's dull is another person's interesting, isn't it?
And I thought you would enjoy this. The world's largest crane completed its biggest lift to date yesterday.
How big?
It's a 250-metre tall crane. It's a Sarans SGC 250. It's also known as Big Carl. Lifted a 575-tonne steel ring at Hinkley Point Sea Power Station in Somerset.
Really?
It's capable of lifting up to 5,000
This happened yesterday?
Yeah.
We should have seen these pictures,
We'll try
shouldn't
to
we?
get
Can
them.
we put
We'll
this?
try to
This
get
is
them.
some kind
But
of.
you know what? That's just a tenth of its ability.
They are incredible
575
things.
tons.
Big cranes are
Love a crane.
extraordinary things. I just want to draw your attention. You can't really look at this because it's just birthdays, but I'll draw your attention to a couple of birthdays happening to do across the ages. Ray Liotta, Goodfellas actor,
So
you know,
cool.
iconic actor.
What do we think? 67?
Good guess, 66. Brad Pitt, it's Brad Pitt's birthday today.
52.
57. And the last one I give you this morning, crossing into a slightly different era, Keith Richards, Rolling Stones guitarist.
82.
OK, that's not so good for him. He's 77 years old.
I nearly went 78.
No, you didn't. You went 82. He's 77. Many congratulations to all of those people who undoubtedly will be watching us this morning. So happy birthday to all three who are no doubt watching us.
I like
at 6:15 on a Friday morning.
I do like our birthday guessing game. I do like it. We do play that a lot.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.